Well, welcome in everyone. This is going to be a really fun class. We are going to be talking about how to make three-dimensional items using one of your silhouette machines. Today, I will be using the Cameo 4. It gives me a wider, 12 inches wide diameter to work with. So when you're making little boxes and things like that, you might want to go with a wider option. But you can also use your portrait or any of your other silhouette cutting machines to make these projects. So I have a few different little designs out here that we're going to go over. We have these little boxes, like there's just little teeny tiny boxes that hold chapstick or lipstick, whatever you want to put in those. We have the little elf legs up in the air box. And then also a little two boxes here that have windows in it. One offers a fold down closure and one offers the gable closure on the side. And then this is still a 3D item, but it's a little bit flatter. It is a little mug that you can put a hot cocoa packet in it or an apple cider packet, whatever you'd like to put into it. So we're going to go over how to find these items in the Silhouette store and then adding them to your library and selecting them from your library. So why don't I go ahead and get started? I'll share my screen first and we'll start from that. Let's go here. So if you're working in your Silhouette studio, let's pull this up. Here we go. So if you're working in here, you're going to want to go ahead and create a new canvas. Now, if you don't have an image in your library already ready to work with, you can go to the store. And I think I have to share a separate window for you to see that. Let me pull up that window. I'll stop share here. And then let me share another screen. So we'll just open up the your Silhouette Studio store. So here's the design store, and you'll find all kinds of designs loaded in here. There are thousands and thousands of designs to browse through. If you want to sort of narrow it down a little bit, you can do a search for 3D items. So let's see. Sorry, that took me to the wrong screen. Here we go. We're going to do a search for 3D designs right here. So we can just go ahead and hit shop now. And that will bring up all of the different 3D designs that are available for you, from little packages, little boxes, bows that you can make. There's a whole library of 3D designs in here that you can choose from. One of the designs that I like to work with is called Pebbles in My Pocket. That's one of the artists. And I just think their designs are very fun. They're cute, they're simple, and they always come out really nicely. So if I'm going to do 3D Pebbles in My Pocket, let's see if I can narrow that down. Pebbles in My Pocket right here. And then we're going to apply that filter to our search. And that just kind of makes it a little bit easier. And you have all of the different designs to work with. The thing I like about the Pebbles in My Pocket is they're very, on the store, they're very neutral, so you can always embellish them and add your own designs to those items. So once you've selected which 3D elements you want to work with, you're going to go ahead and come into your Silhouette Studio, and what we'll do is we'll bring those from your library onto your canvas. So why don't we get started today with the little reindeer envelope. I have these loaded already into my my studio here. You find my little reindeer. You may still be on my canvas. Here it is. So this is the simple reindeer mug pocket. You double click on that design and it comes onto your canvas. Now I'm going to move this around a little bit. So I can cut this one of two ways. One way to cut it is to just send it over and cut it right each layer as an individual mat. So if I were to do that, I'd want to look at the fill colors, and I would select each of the different colors to cut one at a time. if I wanted to make it even easier, I could right click on that and add a pause between the colors, which would allow me to unload my mat, change my color, and put that mat back into the machine. However, I'm going to show you how we can do this in one cut by carefully placing our paper on our mat. So as you can see, there's 4 different colors of paper we're working with. We have a light brown color, a dark brown color, a black color, and the red nose. So what I'll do first is we'll take the antlers and we'll move those to a separate spot down here so we can cut from there when we're ready. We can do the same thing with the nose and the eyes. Just pop those down here as well. And you don't really have to worry so much about where they're placed because they are cut on a piece of paper and then you put them together. Now, you'll notice there's a red line in the center of your mug. That's going to be your scoring line. So it's important that when you move the mug, you move those scoring lines together. You can right click and group those layers if you'd like to. It makes it a little bit easier to move so you don't mistakenly click away on those. So we'll put this brown color at the top of our mat and I'll cut a 6-inch piece of brown cardstock to go in the top of the mat. Then I'll have another 6-inch piece of the darker brown and I'll put the antlers in this bottom right quadrant. And I'll put, I can put the black with the antler color and just choose to change those into that brown color if I'd like. And I'll put the nose right there. So if you wanted to change the color, you simply click on that piece that you want to change the color. You go to the upper left corner there, use the eyedropper and select the brown color that you're cutting. And then we go back to the arrow, we'll select the other eye, change that to the brown color as well. And now that will cut on the same mat. On the same color. So I don't have to add black. I'm just going to do a dark brown, a light brown, and a red. Now, when I send this to my machine, I'm not going to cut by fill anymore. I'll just cut all of it at one time in the layer, but place my cardstock in a quadrant on the mat. So why don't I grab my my pieces and I'll grab my mat and go to the over, oh, let me stop share and we'll go to the overhead and I'll show you how I'm going to lay these out. So I have already cut my 3 pieces here and I have my mat that I'm going to lay them out on. So on the top of my mat, I'm going to go ahead and lay this light brown color. So that'll be the mug. And I'll put that right on there. So that will be right where it cuts. And then I'll have the antlers here and the nose over on the right. So I'll put my antlers right below and then my nose all the way over on the side. So when I look at my layout on the computer, I want to make sure that that layout on the computer screen is the same, will be the same as my layout here. Now, my antlers, I want to make sure that I have them up high enough because they don't quite go down to that low spot. So I'm going to make sure I have them up high enough so that they don't go down below that. If they did that, I think that'd be okay though, because that's going to be inside the mug. So that's how you would lay out your colors on your mat. And then when you're ready to send it to your machine, you need to select what weight of paper you're sending. And I think this is sometimes confusing. It confuses me sometimes because like, what is the 65-pound or an 80-pound or paper weight? So I have some paper here that I'll kind of give you an example. This weight of paper is a copy weight paper. So you can see how it just cascades right down with my fingers. If I hold it, you know, with right in the middle there with my fingers and I put it up, it just cascades right over the edge. So this is a copy weight type of paper. If you're working with, say, a 65-pound paper, we're going to hold it the same way. And you can see it flops pretty quickly on the bottom, but does not flop and cascade as much as your copy weight paper. So just keep that in mind that it's gonna flop at the end here, but it holds itself pretty firm. And then when you're talking about an 80-pound textured type of cardstock, just hold it in the middle and you'll notice it doesn't flop at all. So this is your 80-pound, 85-pound cardstock. Now I can push it a little bit and get a little bit of a flop on the corner, but it doesn't flop nearly as much as your 65-pound or as your copy weight. So just because your paper has pattern on it or it's solid doesn't necessarily indicate the weight of the paper. Go ahead and give it that flop test and make sure that you are cutting it at the right dimensions. I'm going to move my samples. Hope they don't fall. Put these back here for a second so we can get to our machine. All right. Now, once I'm ready to cut, again, I've pieced my colors on my mat, and I want to make sure that I place this into my machine. So I'm going to guide my left side of my mat along the left side there, and we'll go ahead and load the mat right into my machine. I'll share my screen again and show you how I'm going to send that over.
Hey, Kisley,
Yeah, yes.
which Cameo do you have?
I have a Cameo 4. So my paper that I'm using is an 80-pound cardstock. It is set to a blade depth of 3, a force of 30, and a speed of 4. Now, if I were concerned, I did do some test cuts before class today just to make sure I had everything set up right. I would do a test cut, and I can show you how to do a test cut if you'd like. So I'm just going to go ahead and send that over to the machine, and it's going to go ahead and start cutting out for me. So the first it will cut out, it'll just cut top to bottom, and it's cutting out the mug part of it, and then the antlers and the nose. Okay. So while that's cutting the pieces for me, I'll talk a little bit about the tools I use for the assembly. Now, my cardstock is just, it is an 80-pound cardstock. I have a whole rainbow of cardstock here that I pulled out today to work with. So I like to use, I find with, when I'm doing boxes, I like to have something that's a little bit sturdier than a copy weight or a 65-pound weight paper. So I go towards the 80-pound cardstock. If we can do the overhead, I can show some of the tools I'll use to put this together. Perfect. So I use a mono-adhesive tape, or if you really do a lot of them, you may want to look at getting the advanced tape glider. These are both tapes that will put your little pieces together. And then for smaller pieces, I might use either the Zig two-way glue, the Ultra Bond adhesive, or the mono adhesive. The mono adhesive from Tombow tends to be a little bit goopy for me, so I don't always use this one. It's one of these two are more of my go-tos. And then you might want to add a little dimension with some 3D foam squares. So we'll add that onto the little nose on the reindeer. And then to put into the little packet, I have just an apple cider and some cinnamon sticks. But you could use hot cocoa and a candy cane or anything like that. That would be a fun item to use. So here we have everything is cut out nicely. I have my mug, my ears, my antlers, and then the nose. So to remove my cardstock from my mat, I usually will turn my mat upside down, and I'll remove my pieces in that fashion. So I just have my mat upside down, and I kind of roll my mat, and I remove my pieces. The reason I do this with cardstock, and I kind of am in this habit of doing it with everything. So whether I'm cutting vinyl or cardstock, I will roll my mat like this. But my reason for doing that is if you just tear the paper off the mat, it will curl the paper. So you'll get these significant curls to your paper. And I'll show you, once I'm getting my eyes off and see if I can replicate it for you here. Now, it is nice if you're doing a lot of these pieces to cut a whole bunch at one time and then do the assembly. So if you have to do a school project or something like that, this is always a fun way to do it. But if you just take this off, you'll notice on the edge there, it kind of curled a bit. This didn't do it so bad. But I do tend to be very cautious with my mats, and my paper. So I pull the mat off of my paper instead of my paper off of my mat. And this one will come together really quickly. So we have the antlers, the nose, and the eyes, and the ears. Okay, so we can fold. I always do my score line. So go ahead and give your score lines a nice little fold there. And we'll put that part on the back of our envelope and we'll stuff it that way. You could do it this way, but I think with the little reindeer face and everything, it was nice to have that on the back. Then we'll just you can add the antlers. We'll add those right in the front of your mug. So we'll just put a little bit of adhesive on the antlers and they'll just go right, you can make them crooked if you want. You can do them even however you like to do those. And I'm just going to put a little bit of mono adhesive tape right on there. So I like this tape because it goes down clear and you just don't see it. So I do like to have that tape there. So let's put that in like that. And you might want to size your closure. So if your packet's a little bit bigger, you kind of have an idea of where you need to put your adhesive for it to fit into your envelope properly. Now for the ears, you're going to want to kind of give those a little fold and a crease down the center to give them a little dimension. If you have some chalk or some stamp pad, you could sort of accent the edge of the ears if you wanted to, and even dust a little bit of pink on the inside and make them a little pink. Give a little inside. I want these separated a little bit more. There we go. So then on the corners, I'm just going to add a little bit more tape here. And we'll be able to pop our little ears right on there. So you can see I'm working from the back side here. And we're going to close up I want those to go the other way. That is a nice thing about the mono adhesive tape. It's a bit forgiving. So you can fix those placements if you don't like how they are. So there's our little guy coming together. And then we have the ears and the nose. So for the nose, I'm just going to use one of these little 3D squares. If you don't have them pre-cut, you could always just use a roll of foam tape and cut just a little smidge off of it. And that will just go right in the center. Oops, not quite in the center, is it? There we go. And then the last bit are the eyes. And for the eyes, I'll just use my little adhesive right here. Just a little squirt right there goes a long way. So you don't need to put down too much. And then we'll just pop those right on there. That guy there. Sometimes you might need to grab like your scissors or tweezers and just to get things lined up properly. But there we go. All right. And then last part is to close it up. Now, I always like to put it on the side that I'm closing it to, just in case it were to be a little bit short or something like that. Instead of putting my adhesive on here, I'll put it over here. Plus, you'll notice it's a little bit shorter on this side. So if I just ran my adhesive down the side there, I might have some adhesive showing. So I'll put my adhesive on my my little cover side here, and I'll go right to that edge and put it right on there. And then right on the bottom. And if I got it on my table, I just roll it up like that and it comes right off. So you don't have to worry about that. That's why I liked when my kids were young, they could use this and I didn't have to worry too much about how messy they got with it. because it kind of comes right off of your work surfaces as well as your project. So if you got a little bit over the edge, just run your finger over it and it'll take it right off. Just don't be too aggressive and lose an ear. We'll just stick that right back on there. And usually within like 24 hours, this will be a nice hard stick. So at first it's a little, you have a little bit of forgiveness, but then within 24 hours, it'll be a nice permanent stick. Last, all you have to do is grab your cider or hot cocoa, put it in there if you want to add a little cinnamon stick, or if you have, oh, I didn't even open these yet, or if you have a candy cane, you can always pop that in there too. And this is always fun. We always used to do like the snowman poop Ziploc baggies and put, the little snow, little marshmallows in the baggie. But with these, you could do, like, you could have a little plastic baggie of reindeer feed, which was always, for us, it was oatmeal. And we'd put that right in there. So let's get that guy in there. I'm sticking off to the side. So you could do a little Ziploc baggie of reindeer feed for the night of, or anything like that. Little treats in there, just like that. And just make sure you've got it nice and sealed up, so that you can hand these out and gift them to people. You can even add a little tag on the side with some ribbon or something. Really very cute and easy to put together. Now, the next two boxes we're going to work on are a little bit different. This one has a fold over and the crease on it is a little bit different than this box here. So this box has a nice firm side, but both of them have these little windows on them. So, and I made a mistake here. I'll show you guys what mistake I made and how you can make sure you don't do that. But this fit like 4 shower steamers in there. You can put bath bombs, hot cocoa bombs, nail polish set, anything like that. It can go right in here. And then I thought this was a cute little treat box. Now, the windows you'll notice on these are covered so that you can see through them, but there's actually a piece of acetate on that window. So when I put something in there, whether it's just a steamer or something or a little Hershey Kisses, they don't fall out. So that window does close up on the bottom there. And on this one, I'm using Photo Play's double-sided cardstock. So you have a cute pattern on the inside and on the outside. So if you didn't fill up that whole window, you could have a pattern peeking through. So I like that. So I'll tell you my mistake on this one. I moved my design on my mat. I don't know if you can see the mistake I made. I moved my design on the mat. And what happened was I had to cut the slot there. Let's see what, focus on that. I had to cut that slot. There we go. On my own, and I cut it in the wrong spot. So it is better to let your machine do the work for you than to do that yourself. So I'll show you how to cut this one using the pattern Photo Play paper, and we'll assemble this one next. And the acetate. Now, for the acetate, I did not cut that with my silhouette. You certainly can cut it on your silhouette, but I just needed a little rectangle piece, so I didn't cut it with that. This is, Cricut has these clear acetate sheets, and they come in a packet, so you could actually make this whole box out of a piece of acetate if you wanted to. But notice, it might be a little hard to tell, it's cloudy. So when you take this out of the package, it's a little bit cloudy. And the reason for that is it has this protective sleeve on it, because you don't want to like scratch your acetate. You want your acetate sleeve to stay nice and clean. So it's got this little protective sleeve on it. To remove that sleeve, all you're going to do is take something that's pointy, a pair of scissors, tweezers, and we'll just pull that back. and you do that on both sides. If you're cutting your acetate, you want to remove this before putting it in your cutter to cut. So you'll remove both sides, and now you'll see that it is very clear acetate compared to how it comes out of the package. So just keep that in mind if you're using the acetate, and these boxes come out super cute using acetate if you want your gift to show all the way through. So for this one, I'm going to use the Photo Play paper pack. You can order this online with Michaels, and there is with a lot of their kits, they have like these little ephemera packages that go with them, but they also have some fun stickers inside the packaging that you can use to decorate your boxes. So let's see, I'm just going to grab out, there it is. I'll use this piece here. So it has the decorative side on one side and this on the other side. Now, it doesn't really matter which way I put this on my cutting mat. So I'm just going to put this, it doesn't matter which side up I have. And the pattern itself goes 4 ways really. So I could cut it out any way and it will look really cute. So you just put that on your mat. Now I'm going to share my screen again so I can show you sort of how to change the, if you needed to, how to change the cut width. Because in my testing of this pattern, I didn't have my cut needed to go a little bit deeper. And if you look off to the side here where my cursor is, I don't know if you can see that dancing around, that's the little slit that goes on the package that I missed and I had to cut it myself. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this off of my screen. We'll go into the library and grab the stand-up tuck-in box. So this is the box I'm using. Now, I wanted to make it a little bit bigger than it came off because I wanted it to hold those steamers. So I want to enlarge it. Now, you'll notice if I just take the corner, I'm enlarging just the package part of it. And I really want to make sure that I get those score lines in there, those little red dots. Those are my score lines. So I want to make sure that I get all that together. So I'm going to select all the layers and I'm going to group those together. And I'll take this corner and I'm going to enlarge this out to about 12 inches. Let me just see if I've got that. I don't want to make it to be too big. So I'm just come in just a hair bit. And with something like this, you want to make sure that you're going on both the horizontal and vertical. So you're keeping your dimensions locked. You don't want to like spread it to the right or to the left or top, make it wider than it is taller. So you want to keep your proportions locked. And then we're going to send this over. Now on this material, I did need to change my settings because on my test cut, it just didn't cut through. So what I did was I practiced a little bit and to find the right settings, and I changed my depth to a 5 and my force to a 30. So let me just go back. I'm going to revert those so you can see it has a force of 3. A blade depth of 3. I'm just increasing my blade depth to a 5. I kept my force at 30 and I can increase my speed to 5. That's what I have in my notes. So that's how we're going to send it over. Now I'll go ahead and stop sharing that and place it in my machine. So again, I'm going to just load it right into the Cameo 4. We're going to push that load button and I'm going to go ahead and hit send. So it's going to send it right over to my machine. Go. And it just changed the it changes the blade automatically. There's nothing I need to do to it. It automatically adjusts the blade from a 3 to a 5. So the 3 depth was fine for my 80-pound cardstock, but for this decorative paper, I needed to go a little bit deeper and I needed to take it to a 5. So I've got my fingers crossed that that's going to go ahead and work for me. But I do keep notes on in my notebook on if I have to change the size of something so that I can always kind of reference back to it and be like, oh, that's right, it needed to be this for that. Or it needed to be, I can go lighter or heavier. So we can do that. Now for this one, for my acetate, I just need to measure the width and the height of my box here. Let's grab my ruler. And my box is about 2.5 inches wide and about, I'd say maybe go 3 inches tall. So where my window is, then my window is less than 2 inches. It is 1 5/8. So I think I can safely go 2 1/4 on my acetate. So I'll just take my full acetate sheet and a paper trimmer, and we're just gonna go to 2 1/4, and we'll just trim that down. 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 square. I can go a little bit taller on the rectangle if I wanted to. So let's go 2 1/4 by 2 3/4 height. So now I have my little rectangle ready to go, and I'll show you how we put that right into it. Now I've got to double check and make sure that it cut out for me before I unload it, and I can see that I've got some nice cut lines here. Just gonna do a little test, and there we go. So I'll unload the whole piece, and we'll bring it back over and take it off our mat, and then we'll be able to glue it together and make a cute little box. So I've got my sleeve. I don't want to miss it. It blends in. I don't know, you can see it on here, but it does blend in. So I'm going to put that up on my computer keyboard right there. Okay, now on this one, I'm going to go ahead and leave my cardstock on the mat, but we'll take off our piece. So I'm just walking my mat off of the cardstock here. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to show you what happens when you peel your paper off of your cardstock. So if I just peel it off, I'm going a little rough here. So we got cut, I tore it a little bit. But you can see how it can curl up. I don't know if you can see. You can see how it can curl up on your piece of paper. It doesn't really show very well. I'm not really able to show you, but you just, I don't know, it will curl up your paper, and then you'll be disappointed and you have to flatten it. So you're better off taking it off that way. So this one has the holly on the outside. So we'll put the plaid on the outside this time. So before I start my assembly, I'm just going to go ahead and go along all of my score lines so that I kind of have an idea of where everything folds for me. So I have my inside showing, and I'm just kind of scoring along all of my lines. And let's hope that I got my little slit. I did get the little slit in there, so I can see that's in there. Now, the sides of these are a little bit different. To get this crease here, it has a score line here, and then it has kind of like an arc line here. So we're going to score this one to go to the inside. And that will be on your side panel. So we'll score both of those to go to the inside, not the outside, but the inside. So it'll go together like that, and you can see it's starting to come together. Now all we need to do is adhere everything together. So it's up to you what you like to do. If you prefer to do the bottoms first and then the sides, totally up to you how you want to do that. I kind of like to do the sides and then do the bottom. So you have this side is a little bit different because it's got the notch there, but we're just going to take our mono-adhesive tape and run that right along the side there, bring that up, and we're going to go ahead and seal this side up. So I'm just pushing it, pulling it over to the very edge here, and I'm lining up my edge there. Make sure I've got my tops lined up here and my bottom lined up down here. Once you have that in, you can just grab your ruler or some other little pen tool or something, and you just want to make sure that that's nice and secure. That's not going to come off. Sometimes you get your hands in those boxes, but if you've got a small box, it's a little bit harder. and then we're going to do the bottom. So for the bottom, I like to do the sides first. So we'll just adhere, put a little adhesive on this side panel here, just right there. And then we'll do the sides first. So pull one in and then your other side. Now it's hard because you don't have anything to push against. So either you can put something in the bottom to push against it first, or just lay it on your table and kind of push it together like that. And that will hold it together for you. And then we're going to do this part. Now, I like to have the front of my box on the outside part of it. I don't know why. That's just me. So I'm going to put adhesive on the front part here. And again, we'll just do a little strip along there. And that just closes just like that. And again, just take your little ruler, your scissors, and push down on your box bottom, and that's going to put the bottom together. Then since we've already creased the sides, I forgot my acetate. Let me see if I can pull this apart without tearing it. Okay. I pull it apart I can't really pull it apart without tearing it. So these things happen, and it's a good thing I make mistakes. I forgot my acetate, but we can see where it's going to go in the box. So if I hold that there, I'll just take this. I'm going to add a little bit on each side, on the corners, and then we'll tuck that in. For some reason, yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure this is the one I took the piece off both sides. All right, so we're just going to tuck that in like that. There we go. All right, so that's like that. We do our sides. We have our nice crease right here. It's going to crease in and then give you like a little curve. So we're going to crease in and get that little curve going. So I'm like giving my little curve, a cute little curve. You can feel it with your thumb. As you start to crease the sides, you'll start to feel like a curve right there. And that will help you get that nice indent. So you get the indent that you want there. There we go. See it? Hard to see on the plastic, but there. Now you can see that curve right there. So you just want to kind of go carefully, get your little curve going on each side. It'll kind of help push it out, and then close your top, and then you can tuck that right in there. As long as your acetate isn't covering up your crease. There we go. All right, and here we go. That just slides right in and it will hold it in place. I'm making this look harder than it is. Oh, let's put some in there. There we go. It's a little dimension there on the sides. Just want to tuck that right in there. Right like that. And then you can use your little stickers, your sticker sheet that came in your package. We can add just a little something on here if we want to. You can just grab your little sticker, or from your ephemera, grab something and just give it a little bit of a decoration right on the front of it. So we can just do like, here comes Santa Claus. We'll put that right here. If you want to, we can add, I always like to make things three-dimensional. One trick that if you are using something that has sticky on the back of it already, like this sticker has adhesive on the back of it, but if you want it to not possibly stick onto your bag, dust it with a little baby powder, and that removes the adhesive. So you can just stick it on without worrying about it, the corner sticking down or anything like that. But there we go. There's a cute little package with our bath salts in there, our steamers. You can even just put like bath salts in here. A muffin would fit in here, a little cupcake would fit in here, bath bombs, all kinds of cute things. So that's how we can do that pattern design with that. Now we have our next design is this little, I think I'm going to do the elf gable box first. Let me grab him and we'll talk about this one, because I think this gives a little bit of a different style than what we've been doing. This one's very similar to that. I think the combination of this and this will show you how to make this just if we run out of time. So for this one, the difference is it's got these little, we're doing some paper piecing here, and it's got these little, it holds together with the little flaps on the side. So when you open this up, you get a little box on the inside there. So again, this is a lot of pieces. So you have the red, the yellow, the black, and some extra green here that need to all be cut. So we'll do the same trick with this pattern as we did with our little mug there by moving the pieces around. And I'll show you how I do that. Again, I'm just going to go over those steps one more time in case you have any questions. Because what we're going to do with this one is we have, let me get my paper pieces for us. Okay, so for this, we'll have a little piece of black. So I have a piece of black that's 6 inches by 2 inches for the belt, and I'm just going to put that right here. And then I just need a little piece of green, and I'll put that here. It'll have like the little cuffs here are green, and then a red and a yellow right on the side. So I'll do my yellow here, and it's a 6 inch by 6 inch square that I'll put right there. And then I have a green 6 inch by 6 inch square. No, red. There we go. And I'll cut this in 2 different passes. So this will all cut as one, and then the box I'll cut out of a solid piece of green next on the next pass. So let me share my screen and I'll show you how we do this. Okay, so we're back in here. We're at the designs, and I've got my design. Let's see, do I have it still? Nope. Okay, let's create a new design, and I'll go to my library and I'll just grab the little elf. And you can see there's like snowmen that you can do this with. There's like a Santa one, a snowman one, very fun, different designs. Now, as this comes in, I'm just going to take the green piece and move that to the side. Then I need to take all the red and push that up to that corner there, but let me see, I'm going to move this off to the side, and we'll move this off to the side. The green we're going to put down here. I'm just matching up where these are on my mat already. Now, if you want to know where your 6 inch line is, you can just bring down a guide right from the top. So did you see how I did that? I just brought my guide down and I dropped it where it's the 6 inch mark. And then if I want to mark like the 8 inch mark, because that's how big my green square is and my black square is, that will fit right in there. But you'll notice my red, kind of this guy hangs down here a little bit more. So I need to ungroup these pieces so that I can just take the red and move that up into that 6 inch by 6 inch square. My yellow is fine, and then I'll have my green and my red right there. So that's an easy little trick right there to show everybody how you can maximize when you send your material over. Again, I'm using the standard heavyweight texture. It's back to the depth of 3, the force of 30, and the force of 4. So now with that, I'm ready to put that into my mat. Into my machine, and we can cut that one right out. So we'll just put this one back right into here. I'm lining the edge of my mat up with the arrows here. Hitting something. And we're loading them in. So we're doing it from the back side. Now, if anybody had any questions, we have a couple, like we have about 15 more minutes, and I want to make sure that if you had any questions, I get your questions answered. So now's a good time to drop any of those questions in our chat, and we can answer those questions for you. I hope we'll have time to do our little chapstick box too, because that is a really fun idea. You could do these as advents. So if you wanted to do one for each day, and then you can put money or coupon or any little idea in there that you wanted to, that's a super cute, fun way to use these. You could also add, there's another one that doesn't have a top on it, but it has holes on the sides, so you can hang it. So if you wanted to hang these from a tree, you could certainly do something like that. Very, very cute. Lots of fun ideas. So I'm going to share my screen one more time here while this is cutting. Because a lot of times I think to myself that I've got to stay in, like just don't touch my design or anything while it's cutting. But once that design's been sent to your machine, you can come in here and either work on a different design if you wanted to, like if you want to come back to this one, you could simply come back to this design and work on this design, or come back over here and we're going to take all of these pieces. I'll group these together, make sure I don't lose anything. And then I'll move these off my canvas. Oops. I'm going to move these to the side. I'm going to try and move these to the side. There we go. Move those off to the side. And then we're going to bring back the big piece here. And we'll have this one cut right on here. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'll have that ready to go. We'll stop share here and we'll come back over to, I'll unload this and we'll come back over to our overhead here. So you can see all the little pieces cut out properly. So everything I needed to cut out sure did cut out nicely. Now, if I had a second mat, I could have my piece ready to go into the machine and it could go ahead and cut my second piece for me. I can be cutting from on one mat while I'm removing from another mat. So it is kind of handy to have multiple mats at your disposal if you're doing a lot of cuts. But if you're just making one or two projects, you're good. So we'll just take off all these little pieces. You do want to make sure that any little pieces of cardstock are removed from your mat, because you certainly don't want to, you don't want to have them kind of hanging out on your mat and like get stuck underneath. So your blade is going through your material and it's going to cut right through your material. So you kind of want to make sure that it cuts through clean. And if you had any little pieces of former cardstock, your blade could get caught on those pieces. So you just want to make sure that everything comes off your mat. If you need to clean your mat, just use, you can use a little wedge and wedge off any paper that you need to remove from there, or you could use like a baby wipe. I'll use a little baby wipe. And you'll notice I have this little dish that I put my pieces in to so that everything I don't lose any of my little pieces that I need. Okay, then we'll put the green on. And I'm going to just double check my screen and make sure that these bottom 2 inches aren't going to cause a problem. Make sure that my design goes far down. Let me just open this up. And it goes right into the bottom. We'll just push this up a little bit, make sure. Okay, now it's clearing that. So we'll be good. Okay, so I'm going to load this in real quick and we'll start cutting that. And while this is cutting, we will assemble our other pieces. So while that's going through, we can start working on these pieces. So the buttons are a little wonky. Your designs that they're not like perfect circles. So you do have to kind of pay attention to how you get your yellow on there. I didn't worry too much about it, if it was perfect or not. I thought that was kind of the charm of it, to not have it be perfect. So I'm going to put my adhesive on my yellow piece here so that I can not have any adhesive showing through on the red piece, which is what could happen to me. So we'll just put that one right on there. And there's our little yellow. Now these little yellow dots actually are the jingle bells on the shoe. So you want to make sure you save those. And then same thing with this piece. We'll put our adhesive on the back here.
Telling us what's the name of the glue pen again?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Would you mind telling us the name of the glue pen again?
Oh, yes. The glue pen I'm using is a Zig two-way glue. And when it goes down and it's blue, it's a permanent glue. And then if you put it down when if you let it dry and it turns white, it becomes a temporary glue. So you want to make sure that you are putting that down and gluing when it's blue. So you see when I put it down, you can see it. I don't know if you can see the blue color on that one, but it is, you want to glue when blue. It's a nice little pen tip. So there's the belt. And now to finish up his little boots, there is a cuff that will go on each ankle. Like this. So we'll just put that on, and I'll just do a little strip on the top of each one, and then I'll just hit the little jingle bells here. So that will go right on there. Now I did notice from my previous one, the one side of it kind of juts out to catch that jingle bell on the end there. So you want to make sure that you have that like the one side that kind of juts out down. So just do match that one up if you're making this exact box. But there are so many boxes in the silhouette library. Oh, there's so many. It's hard to choose which one to show because there's so many and they're all just so cute. So once you've got that down, then we come back with our green. We're going to put a little bit of adhesive up there with the green. And these little cuts line up with your green bells here. So you want to make sure that, again, you have that one that juts out. Let's see if I have that on the right side. There we go. I had it on the wrong side. You want to make sure that lines up. And they do line up perfectly. So give yourself a little wiggle and line those up. And then we'll put a little adhesive here. And we'll get that one lined up. And then you'll have one more yellow ball to put on the edge of each one of the, oops, I had that the wrong way. There we go. So cute. And then we'll have a little ball here, a little yellow tip on the shoes. And don't forget, these classes are all recorded. So if you want to go back and pull out your silhouette, your Cameo, your portrait, whatever machine you like to use, you can certainly follow along as I'm making this and pause it as you need to. That's what I think is so great about the recorded classes is you can always you can watch it and then pause it as needed. Pause on an as needed basis. Just take that off here. That got right to the edge. And that piece goes off. Okay, let's just take this off. Now you will have your back side of your design of your box won't have anything on that back side. So just keep that in mind. that the backside will be empty. If you wanted to do another set of elf shoes, you could just do another cut. But this is gonna go on here. I'm just gonna make sure. Oops. There we go. That goes on the handle. I had a little trouble lining this up exactly perfectly. It kind of gaps a little bit there. Not sure why. Let me see if I flip it over, if that makes any difference for me. A little bit better there. Okay, so we'll just put that one on that side. Now, before I start attaching these pieces though, did I lose a button? Oh no, I lost one of my buttons. Before I start attaching my pieces, I'm just gonna go ahead and give everything a nice fold. So my lines are nice and crisp, and that makes it a bit easier to, I think, a bit easier to put everything together once you start putting your adhesive on. Especially on these little gable sides here. You wanna go ahead and give those a nice fold in. If anybody saw where my button went, please let me know. I've lost it. Okay, so for this, we're just gonna use you can use your mono adhesive, or if you have the Scotch glue gun, you can use that. We're just gonna put that on there. And then I think that's the only adhesive we need on this guy for that part. Oh, but let's go ahead and do our decorations first. So we're gonna put our feet go up on the top here. We'll put those on. And again, I'm just gonna use your clear adhesive tape and give it a nice little hold there. This is like a trigger gun, so I don't, you just pull the trigger and then you roll and you release the trigger, and that releases the adhesive there for you. And you'll have a little bit of a fold on your guys here. So we'll do that. Now put this one on here. And I do have a little bit of adhesive showing through there. I would just rub that off with an eraser and that'll come right off. But you could also, if you made a mistake and got adhesive in here, you could always fill it with glitter. So you can add a little bit of pizzazz with glitter on your design. We'll put the bottom on. And then your belt goes upside down, because this is like he's jumping in, this little elf is jumping in something. So you're gonna put your belt on so it curves down. And then we'll add the buttons onto the top here. Oops. Like I said, I don't know what happened to my second button. I flipped it off somewhere. Oh, we'll just add that right on there. I have a little adhesive dot on that. Again, you can use your 3-dimensional dots if you wanted to on that. But we'll go ahead and pull up our sides, line up everything before you stick it down. Line up your edges. Just like that. Okay, and then if you want to, you can put a little adhesive on the bottom. If you're putting something heavy in here, you could put a little adhesive on your tape, little insert there, so it'll stay nice and strong. If you're putting something heavy, if you're just putting like a little gift card or something, then you don't need to have you don't need to do that. I don't know what happened to my dot.
Hey,
My button. Did you see it?
But might be on your mat.
I thought that too. I looked. I think I must have, when I moved my mat, I must have like whisked it away. Okay, so then all we're gonna do is put these together like that. And then your little slits come up on the side there, and it tucks in. And then we come up on the side and we tuck in. And if you need to, if you lose a piece like I just did, we can always cut it out a second time and just cut out those pieces, like I showed you how to adjust and change your pieces. And that's the same thing. And there we go. Isn't that cute? I think these are so fun. The boxes are really, there's so much you can do with them. in the silhouette design store, there's so many different boxes to use. There's like, so if you have a Swiftie that you need to give presents to, if you're doing bracelets or something like that, there's like a little box for bracelets. It almost looks like a pizza box, but it's very cute, very fun. Use all of your decorative papers. You can use paper packs like the Recollections paper packs are really great for your boxes. It's a heavier cardstock, so it's going to hold up really nicely. That's what I did my little chapstick boxes out of, was the heavier cardstock. These have a little notch in them. If I can find it, has like a little notch, so you can just open it up like that, grab your chapsticks. I don't know about you guys, but every year we get a new chapstick or glue gun or like glue stick was my mom's favorite thing to give us. But that can go right in there. If you need to make it a little bit bigger, you can always enlarge it. So if you're doing like a Vaseline, I know is a little bigger, EOS are a little bit bigger, just enlarge the size a smidgy bit and then you're good to go. And you did a great job helping me answer all the questions. I thank you guys so much for joining. Please share any of your projects that you make with Michael's. We'd love to see it. Learn with Michael's. If you tag Learn with Michael's, it'll be on there. And we have a couple more classes coming up before the end of the year, but a whole big library of classes to offer you guys in the new year.